Good evening and welcome to our YouTube Live. I'm Clarence Simon Brown and I'm a psychologist and mental well-being ambassador at Carpedium Psy Consultancy. We are here today to discuss about a newly launched project by Carpedium, and to talk about it more in detail, we have with us my colleague and friend, Mrs. Sarita Kashyap. Sarita, welcome. And can you tell us in detail about this new project that is launched and what went behind, coming up with a project like this, and how excited are you for this?
Thank you, Clarence. Thank you so much. We've been working on this project for the past couple of months, so you can imagine the excitement and the amount of learning that we've gained all of these months working behind this project. And I think I remember as a new counselor, a new therapist, being very overwhelmed about am I doing the best for my client? Am I going in the right direction? And I think at all of these moments, supervision is what really helped me understand what's the best that I can offer to the client and to the practice to better my practice. And I'm also very excited about the live because we have Mrs. Devrati with us to give us more insight about what supervision is, and to also talk about Capidin's case supervision sessions that we're going to launch very soon. Ms. Devrati, thank you so much for joining with us. Claren and me have prepared a list of questions for you. We have tried to pick the ones that we felt would provide the most insight into what supervision is and why supervision is important. And I think, Clarence, do you want to start off first?
Yes, welcome, ma'am. And my first question to you is why is supervision necessary, especially when you're practicing, when you're new to it as a trainee counselor or as a fresher? Why is supervision important?
Thank you so much, Clarin and Sarita. Indeed, when it comes to therapy and counseling, definitely it's very, very close to my heart. And supervision also, I think, nowadays a very, very necessary part of our therapeutic services. Basically, supervision allows a practitioner to be reflective of the client and to gain another experience perspective. Basically, it's just like another pair of eyes overseeing my client's casework. And supervision is provided to ensure the standards of your services you are rendering to your client. It enhances the quality of your service. It provides you with advanced learning with different therapeutic techniques, maybe kind of a counseling strategies, which is applicable for your client. It also stimulates the creativity of the therapist and support the sustainability and resilience of the work being undertaken.
Absolutely, Ms. Devrati. You have structured it out so well about why case supervision is important. And I think supervision is sometimes a very necessary yet very overlooked aspect in therapy to ensure, because with our field being bringing in new research and new techniques and new approaches on a daily basis, I think it's very important to stay updated, and to build a community of like-minded professionals is very important. And I think, like you mentioned, case supervision is the space for it. Moving on to the next question that we have for you. We know that you have around more than 2 decades of experience in the field, and I'm sure at some point in your practice you might have felt tired. And we have a term for this in our profession called compassion fatigue, and this can be very overwhelming, and more so for therapists and for counselors who are new when dealing with their clients, and also for trainee counselors. Um, the first question that I have for you with this regard is, how can one ensure that compassion fatigue doesn't hamper the quality of your practice? And two, why do you think case supervision sessions, or in general, individual or group supervision can be a safe space to help combat and to help tackle this exhaustion and the fatigue that comes with practicing with your clients?
Indeed, Sarita, your question is taking me back to my initial days of therapy and counseling practices. So, like to be very broadly speaking, compassion fatigue, sometimes we call it as vicarious trauma also, which occurs when psychologists or others take on the suffering of the client who have experienced extreme stress or trauma, right? So a psychologist should be very, very mindful about this compassion fatigue while dealing with a case of extreme stress and trauma. So they need to be mindful about the early signs, which could be like reduced feeling of empathy or sensitivity, feeling sometimes very, very overwhelming and exhausted by the work demands, feeling very detached, emotionally numb, or emotionally sometimes feeling disconnected, loss of interest in activities like whatever they used to enjoy. Right now, they are not enjoying those. So, these are the early signs of compassion fatigue, which we need to be, as therapists, really mindful about. And when it comes to tackling of compassion fatigue, definitely I would like to say that social support is frequently cited in the literature as helping to minimize the compassion fatigue, not only in the therapist but also for the caregivers as well, right? So a positive social support network and kind of a work related support network can both serve as a lifeline when we are basically navigating very stressful work periods with a difficult client, or say for example a client who is facing, definitely going through a tough time in their life. And as far as the supervision is concerned, supervision definitely can help to prevent or tackle or recover from the compassion fatigue. Supervision basically like encourages self-reflection, right, and identifies what is important in a particular given moment, be it a therapist perspective or be it from the client perspective. And supervision also helps in developing a kind of a principle of practice, by which basically I tried to mean that it's a kind of a set of guidelines of personal integrity on the part of the therapist that talks about the parameters of their, say, for example, personal values, which contributes to the sustainability of the client and therapy relationships.
Thank you, ma'am. Absolutely agree with you, especially about social support group, because sometimes you get stuck and you do not know how to move further, and if you're alone, you do not know how to go further from that point. But if you have like a group to fall back on, you can always go back to them, and you can get different perspectives, different ideas from different people. So that will definitely help. My last question to you is, what can the supervisees from Carpe Diem's case supervision project expect?
Before going into the expectation, I would like to see that those who can attend our supervision program. Definitely, I'll be looking forward for the budding psychologists and therapists who are totally new in this particular field, and definitely the experienced one who have a willingness to learn new things every day, and those who are maybe working in an educational institutions as a psychologist or a therapist or a counselor, as well as working in corporates. Not only the people from our profession, but also I will be definitely looking forward to the caregivers who are basically every day in and out, day in and day out, they are taking care of the clients, those who are going through a tough time, maybe in terms of their psychological health or psychological well-being. Now, coming to the expectations, definitely there will be the supervision session will provide some kind of support in their professional practice and reflection. It can ensure a kind of a better client outcomes. It can always support in continuous professional development on part of a therapist or a counselor. It can always provide them a kind of an improvement in terms of their work environment and work culture, which in turn benefits in their overall well-being on the part of the therapist as well as on the part of their client.
Thank you, Ms. Abrati. I think that clears a lot of things in terms of who can attend, what are the expectations, and also to let our those who have joined our live, to let them know that we'll be following the case presentation model, and there'll be a lot of peer discussions and a lot of learnings from Ms. Debrati too. And Ms. Abrati, from all that you've told us today, I think we understand that the journey of a therapist is quite stressful sometimes, like just like any other profession. But I think more so in the profession of a psychologist or a counselor or a therapist, because we deal with emotions day in and day out, and sometimes it can get extremely lonely. And I think case supervision is a space where you can build a community of like-minded professionals, and like what you've said, the terms that you've used, a space for reflection, a space for learning, and a space for building and getting to know more of you as a therapist. And that's where I think case supervision sessions can be extremely beneficial. Carpe Diem's case supervision sessions are going live. The first batch is starting on the 24th of May and the second on the 5th of June. So, looking forward to a lot of learnings. And thank you, Ms. Debrati, for answering all our questions and for providing us such beautiful insights. Uh, Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.